welcome to this interview at Legal Tribe. Today, we have with us a dynamic and renowned personality from the legal profession, Advocate Sanjay K. Chadha. So, Sir is an eminent Supreme Court advocate, the founding and managing partner at BSK Legal Advocates and Solicitors, and an avid contributor to news, social, and print media. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much, Rini.
So, we are here today to discuss an issue of current relevance, that is mental health and how it is looked upon by the law. So, we've been looking at the debate around mental health, kick-started by the recent and very unfortunate death of actor Sushant Singh Rajput, where some people have been attributing his alleged suicide to his being in depression. So, sir, my question is that how does the law view mental health and how is it taken care of?
Well, to begin with, I would first like to mention here that India is a part of signatory of, we are the part of the UN Convention for Persons with Disability 2008. We were part of it. And based upon that, we have passed our law in the year 2017, that is Mental Health Act 2017. Basically, its prime objective was to protect and promote, basically to protect, promote and fulfill the rights of people who are suffering from mental illness. That is what is the motive and the objective of this particular act, as if I may mention. Basically, it provides for the healthcare rights for these people. I would say these rights were missing, really. You will be, you will be shocked to know that earlier we were not having such provision. And patients suffering from mental illness, they were having a lot of difficulties, as we all are aware, and with this coming onto this act, a legal statute right is being provided to them, particularly pertaining to healthcare, pertaining to their proper treatment, as I can say, their rehabilitation, their other medical necessities, other medical needs, requirements, those are covered here. Then this act has covered the entire scenario pertaining to these mentally ill patients. In our society, what is happening is that we are not treating the medical illness, rather physical illness, with the mental illness at par. Sure. So this is under this act, for the first time, a statute guarantee is given that both physical illness as well as the mental illness are at par. So that is the most important thing. Then under the act, we have seen that government bodies are made central. It's an extensive act covering so many aspects, like, as I said, even rehabilitation, everything on that, the role of central government and how central as well as state government, and how at central level we'll be having a central mental health authority. Similarly, at state level, we'll be having a central state mental health authority. So various establishments are now given a statutory backup that is there. Then hospitals, boards have been created. The medical illness boards is being created under this act. And various, as I said, that it covers all aspects, including the aspect of treatment, including the aspect of pre and post, disease treatment, all the services relating to it. And there comes the very important and crucial part, as for today's discussion, as I may say, is the service of insurance. So yes, that's a brief idea about this act.
So as we've known that the statute actually mandates that insurance should actually cover mental illnesses. But does this happen in reality, sir? Does insurance in India actually cover mental illnesses?
Now I'll tell you, this is a very important question, and this is the question which became the basis for very recent Supreme Court order, in which Section 21(4), subclause 4 of the Mental Illness Act, which is, I would say, it is a very progressive step, first of all. Now, what has basically, they have kept, as I just mentioned, they have kept physical illness and mental illness at par. It broadly is all the insurance policies, medical insurance, which we are talking about. Those medical insurances have this particular clause is there that it will not cover those mental illnesses. Many of it are so these medical policies, Mediclaim policies are coming with a rider. So up till today, even I'm saying even today, those riders are existing in the policies. So with this act, into which came into force in May 2018, passed in 2017, but 2018 it came into force. In this act, I would say that they have tried to keep both the things at par, physical as well as mental illness. Now, section which is very, very relevant, it says that provision, the section says that every insurer, every insurer shall make provision for medical insurance for the treatment of mentally ill as it is done for the physically ill person. So that is a very specific and relevant service which is now given a statutory shape, I may say.
But so why do you think that mental illnesses are not usually covered by insurance just like any other physical illness?
You know, what happens is, yeah, it is very true. But up till today, what has happened is that we have seen that mental illness was not treated at par. And despite having internationally, we have been participating in all kind of international seminars, international treaties, and even this 2008 UN Convention for Rights of Disabled Persons of all kind of disability. So this mental illness is very well kept in the category. So up till today, they were creating an exception. The main reason for that is that what I feel, they were not, you know, on one or the other pretext, they were trying to, you know, the ultimate objective is, you know, they cover few diseases only, these, and except, so it is something which is not very, very, if you see a mentally ill person is sitting quietly, then you cannot even, you know, you will not be able to know that he is not well. Something that's what, there must be some other reasons also. But I feel
not very easily discoverable, that might be one. Yeah. So could you please tell us more about the recent petition that has been filed in this regard with the Supreme Court?
Yeah, a very recent petition in the Supreme Court was pleased to issue the notice to the Insurance Regulatory Authority. The allegation in that particular case was that IRDA, which is the regulatory body, has failed to follow the statutory provision. That is one allegation. Second allegation was that it has happened because of the red tape which is existing in IRDA, and it is said that they have, despite being issued, a notification was issued by IRDA in the month of May 2018 to all the insurance companies, and where the insurance companies were asked to follow this and add follow all provisions of this, including section 21(4), which says that mental illness should be part of the insurance as such. So, and they should be covered within this. But so far we have seen that it is still not being applied by many of the insurance companies. That's what is the plea taken by the petitioner before the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court was pleased to issue notice to IRDA. Within 6 weeks, IRDA has to reply. That's what is the petition. And this petition has once again opened a debate that why not mental illness be covered. Now, that's what, as far as the petition is concerned.
Absolutely. And so how do you think that insurance companies should cover mental health to give maximum relief to such affected customers? And how do we apply this to the existing provisions? So does this create a problem?
Look, there are two things. Now, this question has two very important things which I would like to mention here. Look, if there is an existing illness, then as per the insurance law, the existing illness will not be covered. You have to appreciate that as we talk about it, that the insurance contract is a contract of utmost good faith, where you have to disclose that that at present I am suffering from A, B, C, D, these diseases. So existing, if a person has a disease at present, that disease will be excluded. So I don't think that insurance companies should have any problem in incorporating mental illness in their list of diseases or whatever which are covered. Physical as well as mental illness should be covered. That's what I feel primarily. But what the difficulty we are going to face is what will happen to the existing policies, where there are existing policies, and I feel which amounts to, I think, 95% of the policies are continuing policies. So new policies added will have to see. So that is a big question, number one. Number two is this, that I don't feel that insurance companies are going to deny this. It is a statutory provision. They are bound to follow it. IRDA has also issued a notification. So the fate of this case is going to be that there will be a advisory, or rather a order through which the Supreme Court will ask the IRDA to compulsorily apply this provision. It is a dynamic provision, as I said, progressive provision. What happens? Mental illness is, as we all know now, it is a settled thing that mental illness and physical illness are similar. But why you are treating mental illness separately? Why those people who are suffering from mental illness are treated in on different footing? They are seen by the society on the different footing. That is also there.
Yes. Well, so that has been a greatly enriching session, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope to learn a lot from you, especially due to the fact, considering that you're also an alumnus of our very own law faculty, DU. So yeah, we'll keep meeting and we'll keep learning from you.
Most certainly. And as you have, our firm has also has done this collaboration with you. We will certainly results in, we'll try and spread the legal awareness all through. Everybody should know what is their rights. So under this law, now mentally ill people have right over all these things. So that's all for today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rini.